Hi, it's Gab Dad, and we're reviewing the next, I guess, maybe summer blockbuster, although an unusual one. But hey, it's in 3D, The Great Gatsby. Dad, why don't you explain?
Well, The Great Gatsby...
Old sport.
Yeah, old sport. The Great Gatsby is, of course, the film is based on the very well-known book by F. Scott Fitzgerald of the same name. And the story is essentially a rather simple one. It's about a somewhat mysterious, apparently very rich man who is
in the 20s,
who's passionately in love with a married woman who lives across this body of water somewhere in Long Island or somewhere.
Yeah.
Long Island. And it's a story of his pursuit of her and how that pursuit turns out.
And the mystery of his image.
Well, yes, I mean, there's a mystery surrounding this man, the Great Gatsby, J. Gatsby. He is a sort of an idealist. He is a romantic. He is a striver, but is engaged, has a murky past and a somewhat murky present as well.
It's the old story.
The old story. You heard it all before, folks.
Right. What we haven't maybe heard or seen before in this kind of story is very lavish visuals and in 3D. So let's cover that off the bat. What did you think of that approach to this sort of a timepiece story?
Well, it worked for me, actually. I thought the lavish spectacle side of it was in some ways the best part of the movie. It was very well done. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I was skeptical of the 3D. In fact, I said to you as we were going in, why would they make a movie like this in 3D?
And I just said, wait and watch.
But in fact, the 3D is very effective. And I think adds a lot to the film. And I can see
a lot
exactly
of
why
depth.
they did it.
It was beautiful. The art direction, the cinematography, and the look of the actors themselves. Very well cast. All of them just had this great look of the time and beauty, like a piece of the artwork within the frames.
In some ways, it reminded me of Anna Karenina.
I was going to ask you about that, actually.
Which is a film I liked very much, and was also visually extremely beautiful and treated in a very kind of visual, fantastical sort of way.
Right.
So there's some similarities, and also obviously based upon an even more famous book.
Right.
In the case of that.
Now, story-wise, or I mean, did you care about how faithful or not it was to the book? You think it was?
Well, I've read this book.
I have too, but a long time. We're kind of old.
You read it a long time ago. I think how long ago I read it. As I recollect, through the dim sort of years that have passed, it's quite faithful to the book. I think some people criticize it for not being faithful enough, which I think is a lousy criticism, because it doesn't have to be faithful.
It's an interpretation. And there have been other cinematic interpretations. Obviously, the famous with Robert Redford as the Great Gatsby and Mia Farrow as Daisy. So this is a modern or a new interpretation. Yeah, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio was a Great Gatsby. I mean, if there's one actor you could say it was a great Gatsby, great squared Gatsby. I mean, he's just the perfect modern actor for that role, don't you think? The mystery plus the sort of the swagger,
the boyishness,
the romanticism. I think that I loved watching him as that, and the rest of the cast too. I really liked the performances, and I think that might be another critique. I mean, this is a soap opera. Getting back to the story, it's a melodrama. It's really not deeper than that to me anyway. And yet it can be enjoyable. That kind of story can be enjoyable, and it comes down to the performances. And I really enjoyed and sort of fell for the performances. I did feel the stakes somewhat of Jay and Daisy's love affair and fate of such.
Well, my problem with the film, and it's really perhaps not a problem with the film as such, because I think in many ways it's a good film, is that the story is very thin. And I find the characters rather two-dimensional and therefore not very interesting.
They are a bit caricatured, but that's also part of the style of the whole film.
Yeah, but I mean...
Surface.
Yes, it's very much on the surface in every respect.
Right.
However, I think it's an enjoyable film. And I think
he dozed off. Well,
listen, if the Third World War broke out, I would be asleep through most of it, so it doesn't really make any difference.
Going back to our age.
It is actually, I have to say, it didn't pass the snooze test. It is a little dull in places.
It's maybe, yet again, a bit too long, a little bit too draggy. The visuals only go so far. I'd have to agree with that. But the music should have woken you up. This is another funny thing I have to point out. Another big thing being talked about in this film is Baz Luhrmann's use of modern music, specifically a lot of rap music. So I asked Dad on the way home, so what'd you think of the rap? He didn't notice it, the rap.
Well, yeah, I didn't get this. I mean, I noticed...
modern music.
I mean, I noticed, for example...
Jay-Z.
Well, I noticed, for example, Rhapsody in Blue by Gershwin was an important... I mean, that's not modern. So there may have been some Jay-Z, tucked away in there.
Do you know who Jay-Z is?
But I don't really.
You just
care.
know what zzz
I
is.
don't really care. It makes a difference to me.
And the orchestral score was quite pretty.
Yes.
So there's a lot of pretty things to it. And maybe that's the whole point. Everything new is old again. There's no such thing as a new story.
By the way, we sometimes say of movies, it's a rental. This is not a rental.
No.
You have to go and see it on the big screen and in 3D. I think you get the full spectacle of it, and this film is principally a spectacle. That's what it is.
Even to enjoy the story or the performances, again, it's about being drawn into the spectacle of it.
So if you want to see it 3D,
if you're interested, definitely try to see it in the theaters.
3 3/4 Dads.
3 3/4 Gabs. Wow, across the generations, across the times, the miles. Great Gatsby.
That's right. There you go. There you have it, folks.
Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
In 3D.